Ladies and gentlemen, there are some places in this world that you simply visit, and there are places that quietly visit your soul. Richmond Hill is one of those rare places. When you stand here, looking over the winding River Thames, the green meadows, the ancient trees, the distant rooftops, and the endless sky above London, something unusual happens inside you. The noise of life becomes quieter. Your worries stop shouting. Your heart begins to listen again. And perhaps that is why generation after generation kept returning here. Poets came here, painters came here, lovers came here, dreamers came here, and ordinary people carrying invisible battles inside them came here too. Because Richmond Hill does not merely show you a view, it reminds you that life itself is a view, a passing view, a changing view, a fragile and beautiful view. For centuries, people have stood exactly where we stand today, staring across this landscape in silence. The remarkable thing is this: the view has barely changed. The river still bends gently through the land. The fields still breathe with calmness. The trees still move with the wind as if nature itself is praying. And in a world obsessed with destroying the old to build the new, this place taught Britain something powerful. Not everything valuable should be replaced. That is why this became the only protected view in England, safeguarded by an Act of Parliament in 1902. Think about that for a moment. Out of all the landscapes in an entire nation, this view was considered so precious that the law itself stepped forward and said, future generations deserve to see this too. What a beautiful idea! Today, when people protect things, they usually protect money, buildings, corporations, power, or borders. But here in Richmond Hill, they protected a feeling: the feeling of peace, the feeling of perspective, the feeling of human beings remembering that beyond ambition there is beauty. And maybe our modern society desperately needs that reminder again, because we are living in an age where people are connected to the whole world but disconnected from themselves. We scroll endlessly but rarely pause. We speak constantly but rarely listen. We build taller buildings but sometimes smaller hearts. Yet here on this hill, London suddenly feels different. Not louder, not richer, not faster, just human. You see strangers sitting on benches without speaking, yet somehow understanding each other. You see old couples walking slowly together, proving that love was never about speed. You see young people filming sunsets, trying to capture something their hearts already know cannot truly be captured. Because some moments are too alive for cameras. Richmond Hill teaches us that happiness is not always hidden inside luxury. Sometimes happiness is simply fresh air, a river, a quiet evening, and someone beside you who understands your silence. That is why artists became obsessed with this place. J.M.W. Turner painted these landscapes. Sir Joshua Reynolds admired these views. Poets wrote about these hills with wonder in their hearts. And even today, when people see the sunset from Richmond Hill for the first time, they often stop talking completely. Because beauty has a language beyond words. But Richmond Hill is not only about scenery, it is about history. These paths have witnessed centuries of footsteps: workers, soldiers, writers, immigrants, families, and dreamers from every corner of the world. And that is the real beauty of modern Britain. Not merely its buildings, not merely its wealth, but its people. People from different nations walking under the same sky. Some arrived here carrying suitcases, some arrived carrying pain, some arrived carrying hope, and many discovered that places like Richmond Hill gave them comfort before society gave them acceptance. That is the silent power of nature. Nature never asks your religion. Nature never asks your race. Nature never asks your status. The river flows for everyone, and perhaps humanity would heal faster if we learned from rivers more often. Look carefully at the Thames from this hill. It never moves backward, it bends, it adapts, it continues. That is life. Many people today feel lost because life did not go exactly as planned. But the Thames does not travel in a straight line either. Yet somehow it still reaches the ocean. What a lesson! Richmond Hill also reminds us that greatness does not always announce itself loudly. London has giant towers, bright lights, financial districts, crowded stations, but one of the most powerful places in the city is simply a hill with a view. Because true greatness is not always about attention. Sometimes true greatness is quiet, like a tree that gives shade without asking for applause, like parents sacrificing silently for their children, like ordinary people surviving difficult years without anyone seeing their tears. Richmond Hill belongs to those people too, to the tired worker sitting alone after a long day, to the immigrant missing home, to the student overwhelmed by life, to the old man remembering his youth, to the young woman dreaming about her future, to the couple wondering whether love can survive modern life. This hill has listened to all of them, and somehow it never judges. That is why people return here again and again, not because they are escaping life, but because they are trying to remember what life actually is. Today, our society often measures success by followers, money, titles, or possessions. But stand here for 10 minutes at sunset, and suddenly all those things feel smaller because the sky does not care how rich you are. The river does not care about your social status. The trees do not care about your job title. Nature treats billionaires and ordinary people exactly the same. There's deep wisdom in that. And maybe that is why Richmond Hill still matters in the modern world. It reminds us that peace cannot always be purchased, meaning cannot always be downloaded, and happiness cannot always be displayed online. Some things must simply be felt. As evening falls here, the lights begin appearing across London one by one, and from this hill, the city almost looks like a living constellation. Millions of lives, millions of stories, millions of hidden struggles. Yet from above, everything becomes one landscape. Perhaps humanity itself is like this view. Different rivers, different histories, different people, yet somehow connected together in one shared horizon. And maybe future generations will stand here too, decades from now, asking themselves the same questions we ask today. What truly matters? What kind of society are we building? Are we becoming more human or merely more advanced? I hope when they stand here, they'll still see beauty, not only in the landscape but in each other, because a society becomes truly great not when it builds the tallest towers, but when it protects the deepest humanity. That is the true lesson of Richmond Hill, a place where history breathes, nature speaks, and the soul remembers itself. So the next time you stand on this hill and watch the Thames flowing quietly into the distance, remember this: life moves exactly like that river. There will be bends, storms, dark seasons, moments when the path ahead disappears, but keep flowing, keep becoming, keep believing that even after difficult turns, beauty still waits ahead. Because if a single hill in London could survive centuries and still make human hearts stop in wonder, then perhaps there is still hope for humanity too. Thank you.